Hi and welcome to 5 Minutes with Kvesti. If I sound more confused this time than normally, it's because I'm running on medication. But I want to make these weekly videos, so here it is. I mentioned Endless Legend in my Endless Space 2 review, and I thought I could talk something about Endless Legend in this video. Endless Legend is one of those games that I want to like more than I like. It is a good game, but my issue is that it's a fantasy setting. I'm not into fantasy setting which happens in medieval technology. I'm more into science fiction. One reason why I'm waiting Endless Space 2 for so much is because it can take what is good in Endless Legend and bring it to science fiction setting. My major problem with Endless Legend is that it's in a medieval fantasy world. It's not the only one, but it's the major thing. Sid Meier's Civilization defined what 4X games happening on planet should look like. I don't remember anybody trying to do the same thing. If they are doing 4X games happening on planet, there has to be some kind of edge. It can't be human history. It's usually fantasy setting, or if it's human history, it's very limited time of human history. Usually antique time or medieval time. Endless Legend is giving fantasy treatment to this concept with lights of science fiction. That science fiction is only on background, technology is medieval technology with magic. The science fiction part is that one of the original factions is descendants of crashed spaceship, but because the planet is not technically advanced, they are working on medieval technology. What makes Endless Legend so good is that every faction plays differently. Every faction is geared towards some winning condition. You can win with other winning condition with each faction, but it's easier to play if you play towards this faction's winning condition. For example, there's one faction that can't have any diplomatic relations with other factions. It's geared toward conquest or domination victory or whatever it was called. Because they can't have peace ever, it's always Cold War or Hot War. When they are in war with some other faction, they gain attack bonus which makes them better at fighting. And if everyone else make alliance against them, then they get more bonus. They get little bonus with every faction they are war against. And then they have this one unit that can convert enemy units to their unit if they win the battle. I'm not sure how overpowered this faction is in multiplayer game. Maybe it's not because I haven't heard anything about it. It just plays differently than other factions, and this is not the only faction that plays differently than other factions. All the factions except 2 human factions play differently. There's always some kind of twist. Human factions play like normal faction, and all the other factions have some kind of twist in them. Human factions were originally origins of each others. There was some talk that other faction may be different in later patches, but I'm not sure about that. I usually select a human faction. If I play for human faction, I usually select a faction that looks more like science fiction. Other one looks more like fantasy, and because I'm science fiction guy, I always pick the one that looks like science fiction. Another thing making Endless Legend so good is that these factions change during the gameplay and between different plays. You can have minor factions, you can assimilate minor factions, and then you get new units and bonuses from assimilating minor factions, and that changes how your faction plays during your playthrough, and you can't pick any minor factions, you can only pick minor factions that live on your area. And each faction don't have every kind of units. They only have 4 different kinds of units, and these don't cover every unit type. So you need to assimilate minor factions to your faction to get certain unit types. And if you are not lucky on your playthrough, then you don't get the factions, you don't get the minor factions that you want. Endless Legend is good game, but there are 2 game mechanics I don't like. First one is with quests. Sometimes quests become impossible to complete. It's either because of time limit you can't get where you need to go, or the place where you need to go is somewhere totally other side of the map and you can't get there because there are hostile factions on your way, and you probably need to fight many factions to get the place where you need to go. And that's why your faction quest series might stop and you can't complete it. Another one is with battles. There's a turn-based battle system, but you have to give orders before the turn. And then when you have given orders, game plays the turn. And sometimes these units don't do what you want them to do. Usually they do, but there's another mechanic. The fight starts with armies that fight against each other, but you can have reinforcements if other armies are close to the area where the battle happens. And the big problem I have with this is that because units don't always do what you want them to do, they might run into reinforcement points and stop your reinforcements to come to the battle. Sometimes this is because enemy units force them to be in reinforcement points, but sometimes they just go to reinforcement points and stay there. Overall, Endless Legend is a very good game. It won Game of the Year awards the year it came out, which was 2013 if I remember correctly. It has many expansions, and for the casual gamer like me, it has become quite complicated game at this point with all the expansions. But it's still playable if you play it on easy difficulty for the gamer who don't want to learn everything and know everything and don't want to play with hardest difficulty. I lost one game I played for this review because I didn't know all the mechanics, but next game I know all the mechanics, and that was much easier, and next game I probably play a bit higher difficulty. It's complicated, but it's still good for the casual gamer because it's a good game. If you are in the fantasy setting and you are into 4X games, this is a must game. If you are into science fiction, it's a good game, but it's fantasy setting, and there are good games in science fiction setting too. That was it for this time. See you next time.